Game 3 of the NBA Finals made this a whole entire series. The Bucks found their way onto the board with a 20-point Game 3 win. Giannis showed us that he's still very much a bully in the paint, joining Shaq as the only players with 35 or more points in a finals game without making a field goal outside the paint. Game 4, another huge one for the Bucks, down 2-1. And we know that for a fact, Deer District or Deer Garden or Deer Buck Wild, Deer Park, whatever you want to call it, is going to be lit. Welcome into Hoop Streams presented by DoorDash. I'm Christine Williamson, and I got my friends with me, Treavor Scales, Gary Striewski. What's good?
Yeah, come on in. We got
DoorDash coming through clutch yet again. Dasher Joe in on the mix.
Hey.
Getting curls in as he was dropping the bags off.
Thank you. The bag is heavy. It's looking good. Joey G, thank you for the delivery, sir.
Yeah, we got Zach up out of the paint evidently. Yeah. So
get you later.
Appreciate it. Still Grub City around here. Grub City around
here. Love it. Can't wait to dive into that. Shout out to DoorDash. Thank you for that.
Always.
We're going to start this thing off with a game because we're talking about a game, so why not play a game on our show? That confused me. Anyways, it's called Two Truths and a Lie. You guys may have heard of this one. The Bucks finished Game 3 strong, and we're picking up right where they left off. So we would like to let our friends in here, but it's now time to enter the zone presented by DoorDash, and we have 3 more folks on the show, but I don't think we're welcoming them in now. There are so many eye-popping and unreal Giannis stats throughout these 3 games of the finals. We thought we'd start things off with this game. I'll read 3 Giannis notes. Okay. You guys have to tell me which of these is a lie. All right, so Giannis.
A little 2 truths and a lie action?
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't I already say that?
She did.
Okay.
I'm just confirming. Hey, I'm just confirming.
Okay, so the first one is Giannis is the first player in NBA history with more points than minutes in back-to-back finals games.
Okay.
Giannis has outscored the Suns in the restricted area over the last 2 games.
Okay.
Or over the last 6 quarters, Giannis has scored 71 points. No one has scored that many points in a 6-quarter span in the last 50 years of finals history.
I'm going to go the stat regarding him being the first player to have more points than minutes in back-to-back games being a lie.
Ooh, see, I think the first 2 nuggets are the truths, and the last nugget is the lie, only because off top we kind of mentioned the comparison with Shaq. Yeah. And Shaq is the one who sets the bar in these comparisons. So I'm saying that's the lie.
Okay, so you think A is the lie.
No.
Trev thinks A is the lie.
I think the 6-quarter things is a lie.
And Gary thinks 6 quarters is a lie. Okay. The lie is the last one. Gary, I don't know what you get, but you win.
I know. That's a really good call.
Little context clues. I was on Twitter. I was perusing, and everybody is starting to draw those comparisons with Shaq's performance. The historic one where it was 40-20, 40-20, 40-20, 33-20. Listen, I'm not calling this that, but these last 2 games from Giannis going over the 40 piece is quite impressive.
I mean, you think about how he gets those numbers. Shooting 79, I believe, percent from the floor, and a lot of it is right there in that restricted area. This man is doing what Shaq does, going to the rim, getting his easy buckets, and sort of cashing in and driving the Bucks throughout this series, essentially.
What's so funny about this, too, is Giannis has the sound. He was saying, listen, the Suns are trying to form this wall around the top of the cup and in the paint, all 5 of them, and I just keep going through it. That's what he's doing.
Yes.
So it's impressive at the clip in which he is scoring with everybody knowing that they're trying to shut that down from all 5 positions defensively. So more kudos to him.
Do you guys think that Giannis will be able to sustain this type of performance throughout the rest of the series? Because they have to win 3 more games.
Okay, so sustaining what? Because are we talking 40 points a game? I don't know that that's a fair thing to assess. But him shooting, percentage-wise, what he is, around 75% from the floor, that is perfectly reasonable to believe he will do because that's what he needs to do as far as his game. Like, that's where he should live as far as his skill set and his attributes. So, like, why not think that he's going to put up 80% a game, essentially, right there underneath the rim?
The field goal percentage thing, that's his bread and butter. We shouldn't be surprised by the means in which he's scoring. I think it's a Monty Williams defensive matchup thing. There was a nugget that we shared this morning where DeAndre Ayton, when he was guarding him in Game 3, Giannis was 0 for 4 against Ayton defensively. 12 for 16 against everybody else who decided to D him up. So if Monty Williams see those glaring contrasting sort of defensive styles. Depends on how
the one thing that'll get DeAndre Ayton in trouble is the depth that Milwaukee has at the big. So they'll run like 4-5 bigs that'll get him in foul trouble, and then you're losing Ayton off the floor to even guard Giannis.
So you say no. I think it is sustainable.
Yeah.
I think we will see another gigantic performance tonight. They have no other choice.
Okay, so I think one of the biggest X factors when it comes to the Bucks is actually Chris Middleton, because Chris Middleton, and I told you guys he's going to have a big game 3. In their wins, Chris Middleton is averaging 26 points. In their losses, he's averaging 18. So how crucial do you feel like he's going to be in this game 4 matchup?
I mean, he obviously has to be, right? Because he is the outlet in which, hey, if nothing is open for Giannis, he's obviously going to be that second immediate option. And it really is sort of die by that range, live by that range. In game 1, he was the leading scorer of Milwaukee. He had 29 points, but it was ineffective. They still lost. So I think, people say that, oh, Giannis is really the Robin and Chris Middleton's the Batman. No. Well, yeah, you say that. Wait a minute. I'm like, people,
that's not
you say that.
what I said, but I did say something similar.
These last 3 games have only reinforced to me that Giannis is the Batman and Chris Middleton is the Robin who gets that glory when he's able to be a complementary piece in what Giannis is doing primarily.
Understand something like versatility does not equate to better. So Chris Middleton is a more versatile offensive player. That doesn't mean that he's a better player overall than Giannis Antetokounmpo. We don't have to do that. So when we look at Chris Middleton, it's like that. What are we going to find as far as the correlation versus causation? Is he good in their wins, or are they winning because he's good?
Exactly.
Right? Like it's trying to decipher what exactly you're getting from Chris Middleton and what is the reason behind it. So
and
that's my biggest question.
You're allowed to have a little bit of a gray area.
No doubt.
They're not exclusive of one another.
No doubt.
They're both superheroes. Let's welcome in 3 superheroes on our squad. We got Cass, Jacoby, and Perk joining us. We're just one half of the squad. Here is the rest of them.
Go ahead and hit the high note. There it is. There it is.
Hey, friends.
Oh, hey, there they are.
What's going on, guys?
Perk, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just waiting to address them two. No, I'm just waiting to address those 2 at the top of the key. Not Christine, but the other 2 about the Batman
here we go.
and Robin situation.
Wait, is it that way?
And
Okay.
give them a little understanding and break it down to them about what it actually means.
Go ahead.
For a second. And so here it is, right? Let me break it down for you 2 about what I meant and what I said, that Chris Middleton is the Batman and Giannis is the Robin. When you think about the Batman, right, I'm thinking about a guy that you could go to when it matters the most, when it's time to close, when it's a possession-by-possession game. Game 6 against the Brooklyn Nets. Game 7 against the Brooklyn Nets. Game 5 against the Atlanta Hawks. Game 6 against the Atlanta Hawks. Giannis came to the podium himself and said that, hey, you know what? If Chris Middleton, if it's a close game and he wants to take over the 4th quarter, I don't care. I don't mind. I just want to win. You know why? Because we all know that Giannis hasn't delivered in that moment. Now, when it comes to Giannis being dominant, he is dominant. He's dominant in the 1st quarter, the 2nd quarter, and the 3rd quarter. But when it gets down to those games where those lead changes are changing and it's a possession by possession under 5 minutes, I want the ball in the hands of the guy that is shooting 40, 50, 90 from the field. It's not taking anything away from Giannis, but I don't trust Giannis going to the free throw line. Although he did go 13 for 17 last game, but I don't know what would he do if the game was on the line. We have seen them when the fans start counting down from 10 air ball free throws. But we watched Chris Middleton go for 20 points in the quarter. So I had to break that down for you guys and let you know why I said Batman and Robin.
We're going to break this down even more. Not trying to take away the opportunity, Trevor and Gary, for you guys to respond to Perk.
All good.
But we're gonna get back to you, and you guys have a special guest in Mallory Edens, but we'll get back to you in just a bit. But in the meantime, it's time for your favorite segment, and that's Man Listen.
Man, listen. Hey, listen now. Hey, listen. Man, listen.
And Perk, I know you did just do a deep dive on the Batman, Robin, and the whole superhero multiverse, but our guy Joe G, he put together a little recap of what it's been like in this superhero world for you.
You said what it's been like?
No, we're waiting for a clip.
Giannis Antetokounmpo is a two-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and he gets you 30 points and 10 rebounds every single time he laces up his sneakers. When Perk comes here, I'm going to tell him, I'm not here for this Batman and Robin stuff.
Well, look, you have no choice because we on here together for the rest of the finals at that.
Giannis dunks it with the right hand. How do you stop that freight train? And Middleton buries another one.
Whoa, the Chris Middleton show.
You heard Giannis in his post-game interview. Chris Middleton got it going. I'm going to let him take over. You know why? Because Giannis don't want it in that moment when it matters the most. It's okay to be the Robin. People think that's a bad thing. It's not. Okay, we all know that Giannis is a guy that could dominate the paint. He could get to the paint when he wants. But when it matters the most, we have seen time and time again that Giannis freezes up in the big moments. But when it matters the most, you can put the ball in Chris Middleton's hands and he delivers in great fashion. You know who came up with timely buckets? Chris Middleton. That looks like a Batman to me.
Perk. I mean, shout out to Joe G. That was a beautiful edit. I just quickly, before we bring you in, Jacoby, do you regret a little bit, bringing up this whole Batman Robin thing just because people keep pounding you with it?
You said, do I regret it?
Yeah.
No, Cassidy, you know me. Look, I stand one deep and I stand on the hill alone. One thing about it is that I feel like I'm a wolf in this game and I strongly believe in what I believe in. And look, I'm not taking anything from Giannis. But you have to watch the game and watch what's going on, especially like in the game 3, right? Last game. Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday did a great job of just feeding Giannis. Giannis had the most post-ups that he's had in this series. He had more post-ups in game 3 than he did in 1 and 2. If the Phoenix Suns got Ayton, if Ayton is in foul trouble and the Phoenix Suns go small, I expect them to pound it to Giannis and say, go to work. It's the same thing when we did with Kevin Garnett when we had mismatches in the playoffs. I remember one time we had Antoine Jameson guarding him when we played the Cavaliers. We said, KG, we're going to force feed you the ball. Playoffs is all about matchups. And if you're an unselfish player, you're going to go to the guy that could dominate his matchup. And right now, clearly in this series, Giannis has the matchup.
Jacoby, are you still following these superhero twists and turns?
Listen, Giannis is Superman. He's not Batman. He's not Robin. He is Superman. He got 42 in game 2, 41 in game 1. But, Perk, I will agree with you on this. I feel like Middleton's more Mariano. He's Mariano Rivera. He's the closer when it gets down to under 2 minutes and we have the timeouts and the OTAs and the stoppages. That is when Middleton steps up. But quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, that is always Giannis Antetokounmpo. And the Suns have nothing for him right now. Nothing at all.
And Perk, earlier today, you tweeted this out. You said, if Giannis happens to finish the mission and win an NBA title along with a Finals MVP, I will issue a public apology like I did for Steph Curry. Until then, Chris Middleton is still the Batman closer. Carry on. So, I mean, I guess you said it all in that tweet. That's what it's going to take for you to crown him Batman.
Yeah, I mean, because I have to see him deliver it. Like, look, just think about this. In this series alone, we have yet to see a fourth quarter where we like, ooh, this tight. They going at it. They going back and forth. No, it's been blowouts. It's been whatever team is at home has the advantage, and they've been winning in good fashion by double figures. Here's my thing with Giannis. I'm ready to see, and I think we might see it tonight, when it comes down to the fourth quarter and you get about 8 minutes to go, and it's a 5-point, maybe 4-point, 3-point, 2-point, 1-point, or it's a tied-up game, I want to see him take over then. I want to see him make free throws then. I want to see him get those post-ups and go to work then. I'm not saying nothing about what he do with first, second, and third quarter. We already know he's brute force, but we do have to give – this is what I'm saying, Jacoby. Cassidy made a great point on the Get Up the other day with the Kobe Shaq thing and said that Giannis went into Shaq mode, meaning to me, he accepted his role as being a big. We saw him doing a lot of dribble handoff actions. We saw him screening and rolling to the basket. Like, how many pocket passes and lobs did Drew Holiday and Middleton hit Giannis with? That was like, I said, okay, I see Cassidy up here speaking the gospel. It really was the gospel. I told that to Greeny. Only a fool despises wisdom. That was straight knowledge, and that point was so valid.
Well, yeah, I mean, like the point is, I mean, people are misconstruing it. First of all, it's not an original idea. This is a conversation that's been going on for a while around Giannis. It's not about comparing him to Shaq and saying that their games are similar. It's about him, as you put it, playing through the five and dominating inside. And, he talked about, people asked him, like, should you be focusing your game? And he said, ultimately, I want to continue to evolve as a player and play through my weaknesses. I'm not sure if that means that's something he wants to do in the NBA Finals, but it's certainly something, he's not going to go away from shooting threes in jumpers because he doesn't want to lose confidence with his shot. So that's that point. But, Perk, I want to continue on with Man Listen here. And I want to move over to the Suns side. And it has to do with Giannis, too. We saw get to the foul line more times than the Suns' whole team. And, you pointed out, like, don't blame that on Scott Foster, which a lot of people, like, that's a fun little sidebar storyline, the Scott Foster CP3 beef. And you tweeted this out. We're not about to start this Scott Foster CP3 madness. The Bucks earned that win tonight. It had nothing to do with the officiating. Giannis dominated. Middleton and Holiday showed up, and PJ Tucker made winning plays that didn't show up on the stat sheet. Jacoby, like, what did they do in your mind in Game 3 that worked and that they can sustain in Game 4, the Bucks, that is?
It's all about Giannis. I mean, honestly, like, there was Coach Bud complaining about the foul calls, and there was Monty Williams saying that, that Giannis went to the line more than our team. Guess what? Show me the foul that Giannis didn't get fouled on. Show me the foul call where Giannis didn't get fouled on. Like, Giannis got fouled every single time legitimately. Like, I really felt like it was refereed well. So I'm not going to sit here and act like it was a Scott Foster thing or as an officiating thing. It was Giannis being dominant, which is why they won Game 3, which is why I think they're going to win Game 4.
Perk, just an interesting thing about what developed in media availability, like Monty even said, I don't know how to advise DeAndre Ayton on fouls when you have guys running into him. I mean, you could say that was another slight, but really it's hard to contain. This goes back to Giannis. It's hard to contain Giannis. He's like a running back. They're looking to build a wall. If you're DeAndre Ayton, how do you limit your fouls with a guy going downhill like Giannis does?
Well, one is that I think when you look at it, if I'm Monty Williams, you got to help DeAndre Ayton out. And when I say this, by saying you got to at least start Jay Crowder on Giannis and put Ayton on Brook Lopez and kind of save him that trying to go head up with Giannis. Because if you notice, all Giannis does when Ayton is guarding him is that he attack downhill, whether it's Euro stepping or whatever, he's attacking from the top of the key. But with that being said, look, to the point, I want to address the point with Scott Foster and the CP3 stuff. What ended up happening with this is that CP3 gets away with a lot of stuff, right, throughout the course of the game. We watch his intangibles. We watch him get away with a lot of things, whether they're fouls or whatever, right? You're not going to do that to Scott. Right. You're not going to do that to Scott Foster. I've been around Scott Foster. I played in finals games with Scott Foster. He doesn't back down from superstars. And that's the type of referees you want. That's the type of officiating you want, a fair whistle. So he's not going to go for those calls and saying, I see Ayton has 3 calls and Chris Paul complaining. No, if it's a foul, he's going to call it on Ayton, CP3, or whatever. CP3 has a way of bullying the whole game. And some young referees let them get away with it, not Scott Foster.
Yeah. By the way, Scott Foster isn't officiating tonight's game. I can tell you the names of the other refs, but we need to move on because we have a guest. And, you know, we'll have a lot more to break down in this game with the king of breakdowns, Tim Legler. But let's send it over to Christine now in Bristol.
By DoorDash, we have 39 minutes until the game starts, like my math there. And we welcome in Mallory Edens, the daughter of co-owner of the Bucks, Wes Edens. And Mallory, I have not been to an NBA game since February of 2020. It's been a long time. And I know you were at game 3. So what is the atmosphere like? Like, give us I have FOMO.
We have the best fans in the world. I can't even begin to explain. I grew up in New York City, and this is no shade to Madison Square Garden at all. But people think, you know, that's the craziest sports environment in the world. Those people have clearly not been to Milwaukee for a playoff game. We've had every night of the playoffs, twice as many people outside the arena watching in our courtyard called the Deer District as inside the arena. It's absolutely phenomenal. We really have the greatest home environment in basketball.
I respect it. I also respect your ability to get down and petty with the best of them 2 years ago. You rocked the Pusha T t-shirt amidst all of the controversy surrounding Pusha T and Drake. And so how well received was that by Drake? Was he able to kind of take that one in stride?
You know, the good thing about him is that he's just as competitive as I am. So I honestly, we're good now. You know, he took it in stride. I think it's fun for him, honestly. If you're a great sports fan, trash talking with the fans of the other team is one of the most fun parts about the game.
Mallory, were you ready to commission a diss track? Had Drake, you know, come out with one against you at that point?
You know, I don't think he would ever do that, but if he did, I probably may make some calls.
Hey, she would make some calls and it'd be over for Drake. Mallory, I want to focus on this series, but before doing that, I want to revisit something that happened 2 weeks ago, and it had a happy ending. Your dog Prince went MIA in NYC, and it had to have been a hectic and a frantic bit of time until Prince and you were reunited. So again, happy ending. You put out the APB, everybody look out for Prince. Again, it had a happy ending. And I emphasize that because I want to ask you this. If you had the choice to have one of the Suns' stars go missing for the rest of this series and, you know, come out on the other end, fine, well and dandy, who would it be? CP3 or Devin Booker? One of those guys goes missing. Who's your choice?
This is the craziest lead into this question of all time. Like,
we tried to make it work.
You guys are wild. You know, my big, I'm super superstitious as a fan. Like, I can't say anything about the Bucks winning a game without knocking on the nearest 10 pieces of wood. So I never ever root for injury. You know, in our Nets series, a lot of people were like, oh, you must be so happy that Kyrie's not playing, this, that, whatever. I would, as a big sports fan, how could you ever be unhappy when one of the greatest players in the game is not playing the game? If you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. And so I would never root for an injury of another team. I would never root for anybody to go missing until the end of the series. You know, I have to say, I mean, Devin Booker is, especially for his age, probably, you know, one of the most exciting players in the league. I don't think he quite gets the respect he deserves. But I have been so, as a basketball fan, impressed by what Chris Paul has done this season, just because, you know, especially around basketball, but, you know, if you're just even a normal fan consuming NBA media, there's been this whole narrative of like, Chris Paul is done. He's on this crazy contract. No one's going to ever want him. He's never going to do anything that matters in the league again. And honestly, hats off to what he and the Suns have done this year, because he is so good at basketball.
Just to cover you,
but I'm
Mallory.
not ready for him to go missing. That's crazy.
Yeah, to be clear, it was
so
like
wild.
metaphorically. We were just saying, like, just
Like,
if
not
he
show up
plays
to the
poorly.
game.
Right,
Not
yeah.
show up
that's
to the
all.
game.
Like a D-Book Game 3 where we only had the 10-piece, you know what I mean?
That's
One
all.
of those.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so what were you going to say? Sorry.
Who would you guys, if you guys were a Bucks fan, how would you answer that question?
Well, D-Book went missing Game 3, so for me, it would be D-Book again, because obviously he had 10 points in Game 3. Milwaukee got the win, so you kind of take that, copy-paste it to the rest of the series and hope for those similar outcomes, right? So in my estimation, to the points you made, 24-year-old soon-to-be face of the NBA, in my estimation, you know, if he had a couple more of those games, then all of a sudden we're talking about evening the series tonight, going back to Phoenix, and then making this thing a best of 3, 5, 6, 7. And that would be my answer. You can go ahead and just take it if you want.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you, but the one point I will disagree with is 24 face of the NBA in the backcourt. Giannis is 26. He's going to be around for a long time. See, knock on wood again. But...
there you go. Point noted.
Okay, so you mentioned
two-time MVP.
You mentioned how lit your fans are. There's a guy that likes to literally get lit on the sideline. Bakhtiari chugs beers almost every single game that we see him at. Are you going to be chugging a beer anytime soon in the same way?
You guys are trying to get me in trouble left, right, and center here because I cannot chug a beer to save my absolute life. I really hope they never put me on that camera because I will be roasted until the absolute end of time. This is my public plea to never have to do that, especially not next to like a 6'10" or something, like 300-pound linebacker.
Yeah, but here's the good thing. If they do, you can make some calls. You know what I'm saying? And if that ever happens, you can make some calls.
I love it. Well, we won't see you chugging beers, but I'm sure we'll see you, plenty of you, throughout the series. Thanks so much, Mallory.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so we know a lot about Giannis, and we've seen him throughout this entire series. However,
Thank you so much.
Well, actually, Chris Middleton, caught up with Malika Andrews about his relationship with the Greek Freak.
Giannis also said recently that the day that you retire, and I know there's still a good bit of time before that happens, but the day that you retire, he said that that's going to be one of the toughest days of his career. To have him say something like that, what does that say about your relationship?
It's hard to explain. I don't think people really understand our relationship because we really don't talk to each other that much as friends as some people may think, but you know, on the court, in the gym, we're basketball junkies, so it means everything to still be here with my guy, my brother. He's a big reason why we signed. I hope to think I'm a big reason why he signed and stayed, because we believe that we could do this together.
Back here with Perk and Jacoby. Well, you okay, Jacoby? What's wrong?
It just touched me emotionally. Like the two of them just want to be together. It's like me and Perk. It's like me and you. It's like Trevor and Gary. It's like Christine and Gary and Trevor. Like, I just love the idea that they wanted to commit to that relationship to win. And now that has me rooting for them in Game 4. I'm rooting for them in Game 4 now.
Well, look, you know, a big reason why they won Game 3 is because, you know, not only Giannis went, you know, crazy, but Chris Middleton, Jrue Holiday, they also stepped up. And you know, I say this because they've been inconsistent throughout these playoffs. So are you at all worried that there may be a letdown for Jrue and Chris tonight, Jacoby?
I'm not worried about Jrue and Chris tonight at all. Honestly, like, I just feel like what Jrue Holiday always shows up in the defensive end, but we saw in Game 3 that he showed up on the offensive end, and Chris Middleton has been at 20 points a game store. So he's going to be that in Game 4. I really think the Bucks are going to win. Perk, tell me I'm wrong. You tell me I'm wrong, Perk. I really had the Bucks winning tonight.
I can't tell you wrong, Jacoby. I'm rolling with the Bucks as well. I think that this series is going 7, just the way, because of how things been working out in this series. It's going 7 games. I feel like every team that's at home is going to win, and not only just win, but win in good fashion. I'm rolling with you. I got the Bucks tonight.
Yeah, I was dead wrong after our show, you know, before Game 3 when I said that the Suns were going to take a 3-0 lead, and now I'm totally shifting. I think the Bucks even it up tonight as well. We just gave our picks midway through the show, but that's okay. We're going to keep it rolling. A few things happening in the NBA world with another edition of Did y'all see that? All right, guys, did you see this? It was reported yesterday that Kawhi Leonard underwent surgery to repair a partially torn ACL. And look, he has a few options this offseason. He can opt out, then re-sign for 4 years at a projected $176 million. Or you can opt in to a $36 million player option, extend for 4 more years at projected $182 million. He could re-sign with the Clippers for 1 season and re-sign a 5-year max deal in 2022. Or you can just opt out to leave the Clippers. So, Perk, with the news of his surgery and the partially torn ACL, something that you obviously have some experience with dealing with that timeline and understanding his contract options, what's your outlook for Kawhi and the Clippers?
Well, I think that they're going to get a long-term deal done. I don't know this for a fact, but I do know for a fact that he will be in the Clippers uniform next season and the season after that. I don't know what type of money he's going to get, but I strongly feel like Kawhi Leonard is not going anywhere. Next year, I would be shocked if he even returned because, dealing with an ACL injury or a partially torn ACL, it's the same recovery time. It's 7 to 12 months, and we all know how Kawhi is as far as with his body. If he's not 100% or 99%, he's not coming back. So he's going to take his time with this process due to all the surgeries that he had on his knee, his leg injuries and things to that nature. But I feel like he's going to re-sign back with the Clippers or stay with the Clippers. So, it's just about him getting back healthy, getting back on the floor with his guys, and getting back out there with Paul George and bringing a championship back to Clipper Nation.
Yeah, he's going to take his time, and he may keep people out of the dark, in the dark, rather, is like if he had a partially torn ACL and that was pretty much reported during the playoffs, and we were wondering if he was going to return or not. I'm just saying, I think that he could have done better and not held that over his
Right.
team during the playoffs. But I digress. Let's move on. A report came out yesterday that the Sixers have opened up trade conversations with teams, making it appear Ben Simmons' move could become a reality. We're a little more removed, though, guys, from the he's got to go heat, that really started to build up after they lost that playoff series. But, Jacoby, do you think moving Ben Simmons is the best move for the Sixers?
Well, that is a very difficult question to answer because I believe in Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons was the 2nd Defensive Player of the Year. He is an all-star. He is an all-NBA talent. The idea that he's been devalued in the market right now because of the playoff performance is wild to me. And if I'm one of the 29 other franchises, I'm putting together a package for Ben Simmons. I love Ben Simmons' game. I believe in Ben Simmons, and I want him to move because I feel like him and Joel Embiid kind of eat each other up a little bit on the offensive end.
Quickly, Perk, your thoughts.
I agree. I love Ben Simmons when Ben Simmons is focused. I love Ben Simmons not on Philly. I think Ben Simmons needs to go somewhere where he could play with a stretch 5, where he could play with some shooters, where he could play the role of like a Sabonis, like how the Pacers utilize Sabonis, being a point forward type guy. Him and Embiid just don't work. And I wanted to see it work, but it's just not happening. You know what, Cassidy and Jacoby? Look at Ben Simmons' numbers. Look at Ben Simmons' numbers when Joel Embiid don't play. They're through the roof. Like, they're ridiculous when he don't play. I just think those two can't exist. And what's going to happen is that, you can't get rid of Big Philly. So Ben is the one that got to go.
Yeah, it's a logjam underneath. This is the tale as old as time with those two. Meanwhile, Team USA back to their winning ways. That was a rough stretch for a while. They beat Argentina last night by 28, but the real standouts from that game, did you guys see this? The players' kids, this cute pic of the kids of Draymond Green, Bradley Beal, Jason Tatum, and Damian Lillard. This is some video of them. They were spotted playing with toy cars on the court during pregame shoot-around. There may be an NBA player there, if not, or, a scientist, an actor, you never know, but, just adorable. That's...
Cass, let me take this one, Cass. I'm trying to stay away from my kids. This is why I love hoop streams. I'm trying to stay away from my kids. Real dads want away from their kids.
Truth.
I had dinner with my son. I had to take him to this morning. I had to take him to camp. Like, I'm trying to get away from them. Please, I ain't taking them to work. You crazy? Perk, I know you got kids.
That's fair. That's fair. We all have kids. Yeah. That's all we're gonna say. Let's move on. Did you guys see this during media availability yesterday? Drew Holiday took his turn at the podium and noticed a little something about his seat. Take a listen.
Somebody sitting here before me?
He did.
Makes sense.
Sweaty?
Yes. Extremely. No, it's okay. No, I'm gonna go shower. I'm gonna go shower after this as well.
Yeah. We'll go to Eric to begin.
It was so wet. It was like I was like, okay. Yeah, okay.
I mean, if you look at his jersey, though, like he is.
No, he's working. He's working. Yeah.
The makes sense. There's a lot to that. But PJ, he's sweaty because he puts in work on the defensive end. And Perk, you mentioned this earlier, just about the grittiness, the impact of PJ. It doesn't show up on a stats sheet, but what stands out to you? Well, can you tell people exactly what he does that makes such an impact on this on the game?
Well, I'm going to tell you what he done in Game 3. He locked up Devin Booker. He set the tone. He got physical with Devin Booker from the jump, and he didn't let him get a rhythm early. He got into his airspace. He got to every 50-50 ball, all the loose balls. He got offensive rebounds. He did what P.J. Tucker do, and that's make winning plays that don't show up in the stat sheet. You love him on your team. You hate him if he's not on your team. That's the type of guy you want to go to war with. I said he had to put his fingerprints on his game in Game 3, and he did just that. I thought he set the tone from the jump.
Jacoby, just a quick note. Like Devin Booker mentioned yesterday that he credits PJ Tucker for developing his game. Just a little side note, obviously PJ was part of the Suns when Devin was drafted. They had a lot of battles and practice together. So he may have some insight on how to frustrate Devin Booker. On top of that, we talk about LeBron James and we talk about Chris Paul with these fountain of youth. PJ Tucker is 36 years old and he's banging in these games.
And listen, I don't like to respect my co-host, but I'll say this. There's a little bit of PJ Tucker's game that reminds me of Perk because he plays defense. He might end up with like 4 or 6 points in the game, but he will change the game. It's not about the numbers. You can't quantify what P.J. Tucker and Kendrick Perkins do to a game. It's not quantifiable, but the defense, the hustle, the smacking balls out of there, the loose balls, all that stuff that Kendrick Perkins and P.J. Tucker do, you will win you a championship. It's happened before with Perk, and it might happen again with P.J. Tucker.
Preaching the gospel?
You know at First Street Baptist Church, when they get hot in there, they start raising the windows up and the old ladies get to shout. There you go right there.
I will say, how about Perk's setup? I don't know where you are, but it looks like you're about to put on like a mean jazz performance. Like it's so sophisticated behind you. Like you got the old
that curtain being held back by like chains.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm at the Fister in Milwaukee.
Oh yes,
I'm at ballroom.
Hey,
ballroom.
It's haunted.
And I'm not alone. I got my guy Tom and Anthony in here with me because if they was not in here with me, I would not be in here. You know anything about the Fister?
I know. It's a beautiful place. But there's a wing that, has some vibes. Look, we'll catch up with you two more in just a little bit. But speaking of PJ, Christine, I hear you have someone who can speak to the work that PJ puts in off the court.
Oh, yeah. So we just saw PJ on the court. Here he is arriving to the game tonight. He's like one of my favorite people to show up to the game. I'm trying to figure out what he's wearing. Okay.
That looks like straight up wool.
I don't think my eyesight is that great. I couldn't see what was going on.
Full knit like his
that looks itchy.
Texture. I'm a fan of it. I ain't gonna lie.
Itchy, but that's a fly fit.
That's why you wear something under it. And we now welcome in the sneaker god, Nick DePaula. It's been a while since we talked to you. Very excited to have you here with us. And we know that PJ Tucker not only walks into the games looking fly, he has like the flyest sneaker collection in the game. So he's been wearing his own shoes this postseason. What can you tell us about PJ's journey pack?
Yeah, so he's wearing Kobe 6 PEs that celebrate basically all the teams he's played in throughout his career. And as some people know, he played 5 years overseas. So there's a team for Ukraine, there's a team in Istanbul, and a team in Tel Aviv that are all part of that story. And then now it's gotten to the NBA, where he's also has a Toronto Raptors, University of Texas, and just every chapter of his life throughout his career.
PJ is known for wearing every shoe known to man, even if they aren't his own. And he recently ended up wearing Giannis's shoes before Giannis even got to wear his own brand new colorway of the Zoom Freak 3. So speaking of those Zoom Freak 3s that are reminiscent of, like, I think the KD 4s, is it, with like the strap over the top and everything like that?
You're thinking of the KD 7s.
KD 7s, thank you, thank you. So is there something that we have to be updated on regarding Zoom Freak 3s?
Yeah, so Giannis is a creature of habit. So he always will stick with whatever shoe he's been wearing in the playoffs, which right now is the Freak 2s. So I think we'll probably see him wear those down the road next season. But he usually sticks with what works and what he's familiar with. So we've seen Thanasis wear them. Like you said, PJ debuted his shoe before him even. And then we're seeing still some other colorways coming from that Freak 3. And we're also seeing a lot of the women on the USA basketball team with the USA colorway. So I think you guys are going to see more of the Freak 3s to come.
That's fire. Flip side of that, DePaula, let's talk about CP's kick game and the can't give up now theme that he's been rocking. What's the backstory on that?
Yeah, so there's a gospel song by Mary Mary from the early 2000s and a song Can't Give Up Now that CP told me he listens to all the time in the mornings. So he's been writing that on the side of his shoe as he's obviously turned 35 and 36. Maybe people doubted him. Now he has the ability to win his first finals in his first appearance. So that's kind of the inspiration and the mantra along the way. And something he's writing every single night on the shoes.
All right, so I understand that you're with Brandon Jennings. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got a special guest.
Hey, special guest in the building.
Last great signature shoe before the Giannis shoe, I would say, was the Bloodline and the Black Ice with Brandon Jennings. So hop on in, BJ.
Dude, we were worried. We were like, hey, we were told Brandon Jennings is in the building. Where is Brandon Jennings? There he is. That's how you make an appearance.
Love that. Yeah. So welcome to Hoop Streams, Brandon. Good to see you. I wanted to ask you first what the origin of the Bucks and 6 chant is.
Well, the Bucks and 6 came when we were playing LeBron James and Dwayne Wade back when he was with Miami, and I mean they were the best team in the NBA. So I mean, what I'm supposed to say, we're gonna lose in 4, we're gonna lose in 5. So I'm never doubt myself. I always have 110 confidence in myself. So that's just what I felt at the time.
Ain't nothing wrong with the confidence on the 100. I love that. Brandon, you were one of the cats that really sort of paved the way to do the out of high school, go to foreign, come back to the NBA, and obviously LaMelo Ball has made quite the entrance into the NBA using the same sort of track. What kind of insight can you give us as to what that journey is like, how difficult it could be?
I mean, well, it definitely was a challenge. Being the first one to do it at that time, nobody was ever thinking about skipping college. So I took a lot of backlash from it. But overall, I mean, just to see the progress from LaMelo Ball, being successful from it, and other guys that are trying to go, I'm just happy. I'm happy to see other kids take a chance and take a risk and go out there and do what's best for them.
Hey, Brandon, I got a 2-part question. Maybe I missed the context on this one, but are you guys after this interview about to get in some sparring or something? Are y'all at a MMA gym or something?
So right now I'm with Baron Davis, and we just did a collab, an event with Boost Mobile, Slick Media, and Tough Crowd. As you see, I got Tough Crowd merch in the back.
Okay.
I got a little pop-up shop, little store. We're doing a dunk contest. So it's a whole little finals event today. So
perfect. All right, I needed the context because I was like, man, are these dudes in the octagon? They're ready to go. My last question.
It's a pop-up shop at the finals viewing party.
Okay, perfect. Speaking of the finals, obviously, Brandon, you have ties for Milwaukee. You spent the lion's share of your career there. So maybe I know where this question's going to go if the allegiances are still there. But what do you think plays out tonight in Game 4?
Bucks gonna win. The city. I know one thing. Milwaukee's on fire right now. I remember we played Atlanta in the playoffs, and we was coming back for Game 3 and 4. The city was incredible. So I already know it's probably 10 times. So I got Milwaukee winning tonight, and they're going to take care of business at 6, man. You know, we got to keep it going.
Hey, Bucks in 6.
Bucks in 6.
Yeah.
I knew, of course, that's what you would say. Well, thanks so much for joining. Thanks so much for joining Hoop Streams, guys. Good to see you.
Salute.
All right. Thanks for having us. Yep.
So Giannis has had back-to-back games that have put up Shaq numbers, and he will once again be a huge part of the Bucks attack, looking to even this series up.
People were saying that Milwaukee had a big 3. People were saying that Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday were in that conversation.
There was supposed to be a big 3. You were supposed to be a part of that. I don't want to hear about which person's going to form a tag team with Giannis. They all got to play. Well, Giannis has to get some help offensively from the backcourt, whether it's Jrue Holiday or Middleton. Both of them are being paid exorbitant amount of dollars to show up when it counts, and they've been non-existent as far as I'm concerned.
Middleton, wide open look for 3. Middleton knocks that one down. Holiday hits a 3. Jrue Holiday from way downtown. Holiday step back 3. Got it. And the Bucks back up by 7.
Middleton had a huge first half. Jrue Holiday, huge third quarter. That's the kind of help that Giannis Antetokounmpo was going to need.
Holiday behind the back. Middleton back to Holiday. Inside. Portis for the slam.
Just being able to trust in ourselves, knowing that Giannis is going to be consistent and he's going to do what he does, but we can also make the game easier for him.
Holiday rattles in a 3.
We both know what we can do. He knows what we can do. He trusts us with the ball in our hands. We're always trying to be aggressive, finding ways to get ourselves involved and keep other guys involved also. So
Chris Middleton doing a little bit of everything.
This team, we know what the ingredients to their success is in Milwaukee. They know it too, but somehow inexplicably, from game to game, they're like a roller coaster. They are devoid of consistency. The Bucks showed up, but that wasn't the case in games 1 and 2. We'll see if they show up and do the same thing in game 4.
And look who showed up. The touchscreen maestro himself.
Legs.
Look, no one has
What's
taught
up?
me
What's
more
up, people?
about
What's happening?
I gotta say, no one has taught me more about basketball in my life outside my dad, who introduced me to the game, than Mr. Tim Legler. And I'm so happy to welcome you to Hoop Streams for the very first time.
Well, you know it's my pleasure to be on with you, Cass. We had some great basketball conversations over the years, for sure. No question.
Well, it's time now for today's top flavors presented by Thigh Stop. And Tim, we just saw Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday talk about this series. How would you describe when they are most effective, especially alongside Giannis?
Well, listen, for me, Chris Middleton, I think he's proven enough over the last few years that, I think what he went through in Phoenix, and he had a pretty decent first game, even though the rest of the team pretty much struggled, showed up most of the time, and he's needed to be there for them over the last 3 years in the playoffs. So I'm pretty confident what he's going to do. For me, the big X factor is Jrue Holiday, and I think it always comes down to, is he anticipating shots? Is he looking for shots? Or is it an afterthought? Because when it's an afterthought and he loses his aggressiveness, to me, that's when the Bucks are susceptible. And that's when it looks like the Phoenix Suns are going to take care of business. When Jrue Holiday comes out early and he looks aggressive, and even if he's missing shots, I want to see him aggressively hunt those shots down. That's when now you've got a serious problem on your hands trying to defend this team, because when you have to commit help to Jrue Holiday or Chris Middleton if they get going, there's just not enough bodies left to do what you need to against Giannis. And as you can see the last 2 games, he's done what he wanted to against these smaller lineups that the Suns are putting out there. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Middleton or Holiday, one of those guys has had it go. Now, in the last game, they both did it. It was different halves. Chris Middleton, great first half. Jrue Holiday, third quarter, pretty much ended the game. That's really all they need to do throughout 48 minutes. At some point, have a stretch where you are a guy that is a threat that they've got to worry about, and that allows Giannis to get all this single coverage and be able to beat you up in the paint the way that he has.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Giannis needing to play through the center position. That's something that Perk has been preaching, as well as Jacoby needing to dominate inside the paint for this series. But, Legs, when you watch Giannis, What are you hoping to see him do?
I think the biggest thing he needs to do is continue to punish Phoenix. If they're going to play smaller guys on him on switches, I need to see him take guys down to the block, get to the middle of the lane, 2-3 dribbles, goes to the jump hook, goes to the up and under, whatever it may be, in the paint, and not come down and decide for that particular possession, for whatever reason, he wants to go be a perimeter player. Now, I'm not saying never take a mid-range shot, never take a three. I'm not going to say that because I think he does need to at least put the thought in their head that he may take that shot. But every time he rises up, particularly in the first 10 seconds of the shot clock, if he rises up for one of those shots, I always feel like the defense is just letting out a sigh of relief, saying thank you, because there really is no answer for him against this particular team. If he gets a switch or he gets a smaller guy or Ayton's off the floor and they go to that 2-3 zone, there just isn't enough physical size or strength to be able to deal with this guy in the paint. He's such a unique player. And I think the best defense against Giannis is his shot selection, honestly. I think it's his predetermined notion that this time I kind of want to step out and show you I'm a perimeter player. I don't know why. Not against this team. This team is so small, Giannis can have his way. So that, for me, is the true indicator when I watch him play. Is he taking advantage of every matchup he gets and going inside and just pounding people? Because for me, he's a center with a handle. That's the way I've always described him. He beats you up inside of 6 feet, and he comes at you with a head of steam. Continue to play to your strengths, and the Milwaukee Bucks have a real chance of coming back and flipping this series.
Perk, what were you nodding your head to? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I have a question for Legs. Legs, when you look at what P.J. Tucker, how he started off on Devin Booker, right? It seemed like to me, watching the Milwaukee Bucks play in last game, they went to their film room because you watch their switches, and I'm talking about the switches, not in the pick and roll, but on the perimeter. They knew all the Phoenix Suns plays, right? That double stagger that you and I talked about on the Get Up one morning. When you look at Devin Booker and his struggles with a guy like P.J. Tucker, how would you get Devin Booker off now that you know that P.J. is guarding him? What type of things would you run for Devin Booker? What type of sets should we see Monty Williams run for Devin Booker to get him going? Because he is important.
Oh, he's the key, Perk. He is the key. And I said it earlier today. For me, this is the kind of game tonight when you cement your star status. Like, is Devin Booker a star?
Right.
Then tonight's the night he has to come in there and play like a star. And that, because this, look, if this gets to a best of 3 after tonight, now you got a dicey proposition on your hands. This is the kind of game, after the way he played in Game 3, star players don't have back-to-back games like that where they're invisible in the NBA Finals. So I'm really looking at Devin Booker. You're right, he's the key. How do they get him going? I think one of the biggest things they need to do, they need to play a little bit faster up the floor. I think Chris Paul at times can slow the pace down to such an extent it affects Devin Booker because he gets up the floor. It allows the Bucks to communicate. They start getting into that face guard mode where they won't let him come out and receive the basketball. They can set up for their switches a little bit easier. When they're playing fast and that ball's being advanced to him up the sideline, and now he's going in attacking and he maybe gets a quick pick and roll or a quick hitter, that's more difficult to defend where you don't have necessarily the guy on him that you want on him. I thought the Suns played a lot of half-court basketball in Game 3, and when they do that, now everything you talked about in shoot-around is exactly like you scripted it. When you play fast with pace, it's a lot more difficult to figure out where he's going to be, who's going to be on him, and now he gets loose, hits a few jumpers, and next thing you know, now you got that 30-point guy on your hands. I just don't think he ever got into a rhythm in Game 3 because the pace was too slow for his liking, and I think part of that's on Chris Paul. I think he needs to give the ball up a little bit earlier, let Devin Booker attack against backpedaling defenders, and see if he can get himself loose early. I think the first quarter tonight is very important for Devin Booker to get going, see that ball go in a few times, and now he can go and try to really put a chokehold on this series going back to Phoenix.
Jacoby, you're our resident broken nose expert, okay? I looked at the numbers. Devin Booker, since he broke his nose in Game 2, he hasn't shot above 40% from the field. Now, we were talking about in the Clippers series, is the mask bothering him? Is it not? I mean, I guess I'm asking the resident broken nose expert 2 weeks later, could this possibly still be bothering him?
The more time off you have from the broken nose, the more it sets into its broken nose position, as mine is. But I will say something that Legs so brilliantly put up. It's about pace. Is the pace gonna help the Suns or the Bucks? I think a faster pace helps the Suns. I think if you get it to Devin Booker early in the shot clock, you get it to him with 18 seconds, 17 seconds, that's gonna help him perform. And I think Legs did a really good job of bringing that up.
The last thing, Legs, I want to talk to you about is how much weight are you giving the loss of Saric right now?
Huge. And look, when he went down, I knew then. I said it that night. This is going to – first of all, I had a similar play when I tore my ACL and the non-contact thing came to a jump stop. When his knee buckled and I saw his reaction, I had a sick feeling in my stomach that that's exactly what it was. Turns out that it was, and I knew then, that night, this is a problem because they just do not have other bodies. I mean, when Frank Kaminsky stood up the first time to check in the next game, I saw a dust cloud pop up when he stood up.
No, you didn't.
Mothballs were flying off
I saw it too.
His uniform.
I saw the same thing.
He's still sitting there. Yeah, so
Rude.
I knew, look, I'm not trying to knock Kaminsky because I think he's a good player, but the truth is he hadn't played. Saric is a guy, he gives him that physical toughness. He puts his body in the way of people. He knows how to use leverage. He knows how to use his strength. He's not a great athlete, but he totally understands how to get into people's bodies. So when he went down, I knew they were going to be thin. So what's the one thing that can't happen? DeAndre Ayton cannot get in foul trouble. And I thought his fourth foul the other night was a silly play. He does not need to go over there and contest Giannis Antetokounmpo early in the third quarter when he's already got 3. You got to learn that, and he'll get more years on him and understand he's more important. So what if Giannis scores on that play? You're more important to your team, particularly at that point. He was 8 for 9 from the field. You have to stay on the court. You've got no size behind you. That zone was pretty weak the other night that they had to go to when he was off the floor. So it's a huge loss for a role player that plays 15 minutes. You might not think it at home. Trust me, those guys are really important in terms of maintaining your rotation.
Yep, absolutely. Legs, you're incredible. And we'll see you post-game with Scott Van Pelt. Appreciate you coming on Hoop Streams.
Always.
Love watching you with
SVP. Thanks for having me.
Love watching you with SVP.
Thanks for having me on. Talk to you soon. Yes, I'll be on tonight. You got it.
All right, guys. We're about a little under 2 minutes to go before this thing kicks off on ABC. But you see that man right there? That man right there has me in a big lead in our fantasy league. Just, I mean, I don't mean to brag, but...
Why are you bringing up old stuff?
How you feeling, guys?
That's so game 3.
How are you feeling? How you feeling? How are we feeling?
I feel pretty great. I don't know. I feel like
Christine,
I went from being in like 4th or 5th or something. I don't know what I was in last week. It wasn't great, and I'm in 2nd, so I feel.
John, please, you 15 points ahead of the 5th place player. What you mean?
I told you Chris Middleton was gonna have a big game. He came through. That's all that matters.
I mean, no disrespect to Mikal Bridges, but even if he wasn't on my team, even if I only had Giannis.
Right.
I'd still be
That's
in first place.
insane.
Right.
I'm just upset that you guys are still using this picture of me.
Oh, come on.
Okay. Well, you guys know what we're doing for tonight's game, right? No?
Let them know.
What's that?
So everybody except for Cassidy can choose one player on their team to double their points. I will be choosing Chris Middleton.
Giannis.
No, you have to choose a player on your own team.
I'm going with Drew Holiday.
Okay. Perk has Drew Holiday.
I'm Ayton.
Ayton?
I mean, I'm obviously going deep book.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going CP3.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand why I'm getting penalized.
Because you have 218 points.
Because you had the number 1 pick.
I know, but I didn't. I had number 2.
That's true.
I'm going to pull the curse back. This was an idea that I pitched to our producer Chris, but he didn't tell me that I wasn't going to be able to double my points. Can we just say?
This is like a bye week for you.
I'll go with Bridges. I think I should be be allowed to go with Bridges and double my points.
No, that's Cologne said that it's not allowed. That is not allowed because you already have Giannis on your team. You're good. You're good.
I was handicapping this entire game halfway through. It's a sham. It's a complete sham.
Okay,
I gotta go watch the game.
Well, we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching Hoop Streams presented by DoorDash. If you're watching on the app, you can go on and authenticate, and we will see you for Game 5. Bye, guys.